We are here with Gunner. Say hi, Gunner.
Hi.
And Magnus.
Whee!
Percy, you're going to see hi. Oops. It's all right. We're going to read a story, and it's called Nosy, Norris. From Puppy Dogs and Ice Cream.
Family.
Okay.
But
It's not polite to stare. That's what Nosy Norris says. Little Norris Ned was nosy. He really loved to stare. It was a very rude habit, but he was unaware. There he is. Oops, there he is. Now we're going to read this page. He would always stop and point and use his eyes to gawk. He'd scan the room from left to right, watching people like a hawk. Norris Ned would always stare and point his little finger. I guess it was his little finger, so his finger was little. So he'd point his pointer finger. Then he'd stand so very still and let his long gaze linger. He'd stare at his sister Nellie and his brother Noah too. He'd just stare at everyone like animals in a zoo. "Oh, Norris, please stop staring," his mom Nadine would say. "Noah never does it. You must not act this way." But he pretended not to hear and just stared even more. He loved to watch and point at things and thought behaving was a bore. His mother told him it was rude to always point and stare. But Norris didn't listen. He just didn't seem to care.
Beep, beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, beep, beep.
He'd stare at all his classmates, his friends, and teachers too. He just couldn't see things from his mother's point of view. When he stared, his mind would wander far off into another place. His face would go completely blank, like he was up in outer space. What does a blank face look like?
Like no eyes, no mouth, no nose.
Like
no
like
eyebrows.
this, like this, like this.
Like what? Like this? Like with no eyes, no nose, and no mouth.
When he stared, his mind would wander far off in another place. His face would go completely blank, like he was up in outer space. I just read that, didn't I? All right, there's the outer space. He would look like he was up in outer space. "Earth to Noah," said his dad, Nick, his voice now sounding furious. "Pay attention. Are you there? It's not good to be this curious. Can't you see how rude it is to stare at all in sight? You make us all so nervous, and it's simply not polite." "Your dad is right," his mom agreed. "It's really quite uncouth. But I know that in due time, you'll stumble on the truth."
Mom agreed.
Agreed with who? Noah or his dad?
Dad.
What did his dad say?
It's not polite to stare.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, his mom was right. While Norris ogled with his eyes, he wasn't watching where he stepped and got a sticky surprise. Uh-oh. What was his sticky surprise?
Goo. We got goo.
He was walking by a park with people for him to view. He was staring so intensely he didn't see the bright green goo. Norris slipped and fell right down, hitting the ground with quite a plop. If he hadn't been so nosy, he might have seen the icky slop. Whoops, better show
You
him.
never do this at home.
You think he might have broke his arm like me?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, what a mess.
I thought you broke your wrist,
I did.
not your arm.
It's at the end of my arm.
So why do you have that all the way around your arm?
To keep it from moving while it heals. Norris screamed and cried and wailed, and all the children turned to see. Now they were the ones staring, and they began to laugh with glee. Aw. I don't know about that. Okay. Come closer, Maggie. Mags. Mags.
Magnus.
Magus.
Magnus. Magnanimous.
Magnus
Magnificent Magnus.
or Perseus.
Great Gunner.
Or
All right.
You know what my Uncle Austin calls me?
What?
Magnus Magneto Head.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens after everybody laughs and he falls in his goo mess. They all laughed and pointed when he fell and went kaput. Staring wasn't so funny with the shoe on the other foot. His father helped him up and put him back on his 2 feet. They walked back to their house, trailing slime all down the street.
Remember, help somebody up
Remember.
if they're fall.
His mother helped him to clean up while Norris sat in a chair. He cried out to his parents, "I'll never stare again, I swear." Okay, oops, skipped a page. There we go.
Towels for downstairs are in the washer. The beach towels that we used didn't fit, so just put them here.
There they are.
They were on the floor in the basement.
And
Thank you. And ever since that fateful day, Norris didn't stare. He always watched his step and walked around with care.
Last thing.
Norris quit being nosy and stopped pointing all the time. He always kept an eye out for sticky, bright green slime. That's one way to learn a lesson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can either learn from others people's experiences that have been there and have learned it from experience, or we can choose to ignore it and then have the experience ourselves, which, I don't know, I think I'd rather play the learn card that somebody else has instead of having to learn it myself. But anyway, we learn either way, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, people.
And there's good old Norris. The end.
deep end.
So let's
Subscribe
get in here and
and
say, see you next time.
see you next time. Subscribe and ring the bell.
Actually.
Adios.
Adios, mingles.